Okay, so good afternoon. And in today's class, we'll be continuing the last class discussion on capacity planning and load planning strategies and ca- uh, capacity requirement planning. So these topics we'll be discussing today. As discussed in the last class, we were discussing about capacity planning, and this capacity planning or handling is about three things. That is, what kind of capacity is required, and how much is required, and when it is required, or where it is required. So these three things are the primary questions which we should ask before starting this capacity planning. So that is what is required, what kind of capacity is required, like what is the requirement for the production activity to start, then how much is required, then when it is required. So all these are the three things which we have to consider while going for the capacity planning. Okay, then in the last class we discussed about load. That is, load is the required capacity which needs to be given to other resources required to start the production activity. That is called as load. Okay, load, how much load we can give to a machine to expect the production capability. Okay, to increase the production capability, or how much the understanding the production capability, we should give the allocate the resources. So that's how we can go for loading. Okay, so what is this load? Okay, load is a standard hours of work assigned to a production facility. Okay, so that is, for if the machine is going to work for 8 hours, how much is the load required for that particular facility to do the work. So that we call as load. What are the types of load? In the last class we discussed about planned load and unplanned load. What is this planned load? It is generated by MRP. That is, when you are solving the MRP problem, you are releasing the order, right? So that is called the planning. If as per the MRP, if we are going with the production activity, we call that as planned load. And if something happens, the like due to the nervousness of MRP, if we are adding the load, then we can call it as unplanned load. Okay, and to the load percentage is calculated bus load by capacity into 100. Okay, the load percentage is load by capacity into 100. Okay, what is this load percentage? And load percentage cannot be higher than 100, because a machine can never be 100% efficient. Going back to our fundamentals of thermodynamics, a machine can never be 100% efficient. So you should understand that a machine cannot be loaded with 100 percentage, more than 100 percentage. If you load more than 100 percentage, the system will fail. Imagine, just taking a human being or a man as a example. Imagine taking ourselves as example. You should understand that uh, you should understand that you should understand that say for example, there is a man who is going to eat for some, say some example, 10 chapatis. If you are feeding more than that, if you are feeding more number, what will happen? He can't consume for a period of time. After a period of time, he will stop eating. He will tell that my stomach is going to burst if I'm eating over. Same thing to machines. If you are loading the machine with more work than its capability or than its capacity, automatically the machine will fail. A machine can perform work for 8 hours and produce 100 components, for example. But if you are loading the machine with and compelling the working with the machine for more than 8 hours, and you are giving more resources for the production activity to produce 1,000 components, then it is getting very very difficult for you to attain the uh, uh, to, to, to make it perform continuously. So there the system will fail. So overloading is to be avoided. Okay. Then when I say capacity required, how it is planned? When I say about planned load, I told you it's generated by the MRP. Okay, using the MRP one, we have generated the planned load. That is how much we are going to load the system, right? So for we used to calculate for the particular week, and based upon the particular week, how we are going to calculate the MRP, that we have done. So based upon the MRP, now we are going to load the systems. So imagine it's like this. There's a machine. The machine requires some materials to perform, and this required material will be planned by MRP. And in MRP, you have two things. One is you'll give after calculating the net requirement for the particular week or for the particular day, you will be planning to release the order, planned order order release. Then you will when there's a time when you are going to release the order. There is a planned order release, and before that you'll have scheduled receipt. When you are planning to receive and when you have to release the order. If you're planning to say, for example, if the lead time for the supplier to deliver the goods to you is 1 week, and if you require the items in the second week, you used to release the order in the first week. That is, planned order release will happen in the first week, and the scheduled receipt will be planned for the second week. So that is the released load and unreleased load. Okay, this is with MRP. Okay, so that is when the load is planned or when the production activity is already planned, then it is possible to stick with the MRP. So in this case, we go with the MRP data where things will happen. So that is how this capacity required can be planned. If the load is planned one. Then what is capacity management? So it is like the function of establishing, measuring, monitoring, and adjusting the limits or levels of capacity in order to execute all manufacturing schedules. That is, based upon the forecasted demand, okay, and you will prepare the master production schedule. After preparing the master production schedule, we will be preparing the bill of materials and material requirement. The material requirement planning will be basically done. After preparing the material requirement planning, we are going to do the capacity requirement. That is, say you have the material requirement data. With that material requirement data, what is actually required for your system, for your machine, that has to be planned. The capacity, understanding the capacity of the machine, the material requirement has to be planned. Okay, say for example, let me give you an example again with respect to the human beings. Since it's the lunchtime, let's take up with the example of our regular hostel mess activities. Mess, right? So the mess is forecasting to produce around 500 meals for the lunch, and the master production schedule is prepared for planning the lunch. Then after, based upon the master product, that is when what has to be prepared, when it has to be prepared, for how much it has to be prepared. Based upon that, master production schedule will be planned. Once the master production schedule is planned, the purchase office will plan for material requirements, like how much material is required. Based upon the recipe, the material requirement planning team will procure the materials. Okay, now this is done. Now still now we didn't know how much quantity will be consumed by the individual persons who are dining at the mess. For example, one student may consume one plate of biryani. The other student may consume 2 plates of biryani. So the capacity requirement for, if imagine this, compare the situation to the industry. In industry, the individuals are going to be machines. So the one machine can consume 1 kg of steel to produce 800 grams of compound. The other machine can consume 2 kg of steel to produce 1 kg of material or final product. So the capacity, or say for example, the power consumption. Power consumption of one electronic machine, one machine can be different from the other machine. The workforce required to handle one machine can be the other machine may require two workforces, 2 labors can be required. So the capacity requirement is going to vary from machine to machine depending upon the working environment. So we have to plan the materials according to that. Say for example, you have a machine whose efficiency is 100%, whose utilization is only 50%. There's a loss. Okay, so that is, the machine can perform 100%, but you are utilizing the machine for only 50%. Then what happens? It's a mistake. Say for example, we have someone, we have a very good player in the IPL, and he is always kept in the bench. Okay, and he is allowed to perform. Say there's one good bowler. Say for example, let's take the example of Bumrah, the famous cricketer bowler, right? The Bumrah can bowl 4 overs in an IPL match, but if the captain decides to give only 2 overs, what happens? The Bumrah's full capacity is not utilized by the company or by the IPL team. So that's what capacity is. You should understand, like this is how you should understand the capacity. Capacity is about establishing, measuring, monitoring, and adjusting. This is the right word. The adjusting is the adjusting by some strategies. So we are going to discuss about some strategies of capacity planning. So adjusting is very, very important. So if some changes are happening in a dynamic environment, the shop floor in charge should be able to should be agile in arranging this in shifting these things, or in adjusting the limits, or adjusting the requirements, or adjusting the to do some modifications by which the machines can be loaded with full capacity to have a very good output. Okay, very good output. I tell in terms of quality and quantity also, that both things are very, very essential. So this is how the capacity management is going to work. Then what are the three steps we are going to do this? How we are going to manage this capacity? Okay, there are three steps, simple steps. First, you should understand, or you should able to determine what is the capacity already available in each workstation. Okay, for a given time period, what is the capacity available in each work center? Okay, again, work center is what? Work center is just a combination of some machines or a group of machines desired to perform and deliver certain outputs. So that is work center. So you should understand how what is the capacity available at the work center. Say again, coming back to our hostel example, in a mess, the mess is the work center. The capacity available, what is the already the what is the capacity available, like how much this hostel mess can prepare food, for how many students this hostel mess can prepare the food. That is the capacity available in the particular mess. That is the capacity available in a in case of an industry. That is the capacity available with the work center to meet the target in the given time, or to meet the production plan in the meantime, in the given times. Okay, then we are going to make a comparison statement with the required capacity to the planned capacity. That is, the requirement of capacity is something like we have to prepare the food for 500 students. Okay, 500 students, that is a planned capacity. Say you are planning to prepare the food for 500 students, but whereas the capacity is the inventory is only 400 there's a capacity to prepare, that the required capacity is 100. Say for example, the planned you're going to make the food for the lunch for 500 students, but whereas your mess has the raw material to prepare only the food, or the capacity to prepare only for 400 students. Your capacity of the mess is only for 400 students, but your expectation is for 500 students. So the remaining 100 lunch, how we are going to prepare? What is the capacity required to meet out the load? That is called that we have to prepare. That is, we should understand how much is the capacity of the manufacturing unit. In our case, that we are speaking about hostel mess, so we should know what is the capacity of the hostel mess, for how many students the hostel can prepare the food. Say for example, the hostel mess can prepare food for 400 students. Okay, done. But what is the required capacity? Say for example, our required capacity is 500 students. So the planned capacity is for 500, the actual capacity is only 400, the required capacity is 100. For 100 students, how we are going to make it? Okay, so now comes the word adjustment, or what is the strategy we are going to do this. If necessary, what we are going to do, we are going to adjust the planned capacity has to be adjusted, so that the required capacity can be matched, or somehow it can be balanced. Say for example, 500 food has to be prepared, but the capacity is to only prepare for 400 foods. So the remaining 100 food, how we are going to prepare? Okay, that is very, very difficult question. Okay, the requirement is 500 lunch has to be prepared, but only 400 lunch has been prepared. The capacity of the particular mess or the hostel mess is to it can prepare only 400. How this 100 food 100 items are going to be balanced? 100 people, how we are going to serve? That's a question. So what we can do now? Then comes adjustment planning. So normally, if this is the situation in industry, what the industry can do is it can go for outsourcing. Okay, it can go for outsourcing. In our case, if the hostel mess A is suffering from a shortage, as a shortage, it can contact the hostel mess B. Imagine now hostel B is a supplier to hostel A. So that's how some capacity adjustment can be done, or how to handle the situation that can be done. But otherwise, if this is happening daily, if you are facing this problem, you have to address it in a serious way. How we are going to do that? That can be done in depending upon the on the shortage, or depending upon the required capacity, to balance to adjust what we are, how much is the required capacity. Depending upon the required capacity, we are going to prepare some adjustment plan, right? So depending upon the adjustment plan or the situation, the production cap planning happens in three levels. The production planning happens in three levels. One is long range, medium range, and short range. So for each and every, depending upon the range of the problem, that is the time duration of the problem, the prevalence of the problem, how long it prevails, how much time it prevails, the problem is existing, depending upon the time duration, or depending upon the time duration available with us to solve the problem, the capacity planning is segregated into three major types. Okay, three major types it's being classified. One is resource requirement planning. The other one we call as rough cut capacity planning. The third one we call as capacity requirement planning. Each and every these three capacity planning has a minute difference. You should understand that. Okay, so you should so before going to that, you should understand what is MPS, what is MRP. Correct? Again, we have to go back to our basics. So what is MPS? MPS is the master production schedule. This is going to just tell us what you are going to manufacture, when you are going to manufacture, by which machine you are going to manufacture, depending upon the demand. Depending upon the demand, forecasted demand or the actual demand, your master production schedule will be prepared. I told you the master production schedule is just simple, the menu which is being displayed in your mess, that when what is going to be served at when it is going to be served, like that. So that is the master production schedule, to make it simple for you to understand. Next, based upon the MPS, the master requirement plan is going to be prepared. That is, if I require so much items to be prepared, when what are the items required, what by comparing it with the inventory, and comparing it with the bill of material, comparing it with the master production schedule, you are going to prepare the MRP. I think MRP you will be confident, because MRP we have done two problems by your own. So MRP you can you know what is MRP. I believe that you know what is MRP by now. That is MRP 1. Okay, so with this what we are going to do. So but prior to that, we will be preparing the production plan. Okay, before starting any activity, we may roughly prepare a production plan. So okay, so like that is like, okay, I will, my company from today onwards, it will start producing this variant of car. Say for example, I'm from the, I'm going to produce some battery operated cars. It will be powered by battery operated cars. Okay, I'm going to plan that. So what I'm going to do is, suddenly I will plan how to execute. So that time, the first time, without any plan or without any knowledge, what the company will do is, it will roughly prepare a resource requirement planning. Like, I need a shop floor, I need an industry, I need a battery supplier, and the battery should be in the specification. I need a place for assembling my vehicle, and this will be my assembly sequence. And the production activity can start from March 2021, or next December 2021. Okay, like it's a long range, right? So say for example, the company may plan to start the company at January 2022. So we have more gap. We have more than 1 year time available. So when the company has a long time to prepare, or say for example, for installing or installing a nuclear power plant, a dam. So to construct all these things, it requires a lot of resource requirement planning has to be done. But this is just this is a rough estimate. This is going to be a blind prediction. It is just like a blind prediction. There is no actual calculation done, or no actual data is collected, no input data is there. Just roughly estimate. Okay, I'm going to construct a house. I'll construct a house with four bedrooms, two kitchen, two hall, one cinema hall, something like that, something like that. So I may roughly think, okay, I'll consider, without knowing anything. I'll just, if I'm proposing something, that planning we call as resource requirement planning. Here only the production plan is there, nothing is available. You're going to start from scratch, so that we call as long. So since it is going to be happening sometime late, we call it as long range capacity planning, or it's also called as a resource requirement planning. But again, after entering into the real production, after assuming, okay, I'm going to manufacture this product at this time, of this variant of product at this time in this much quantity, then I will have this master production schedule. When I have the master production schedule, and when I enter into planning my resources, and this time I am again my the input data is, what I'm going to use is very simple. Okay, so to manufacture, this is just like writing the grocery bill for your house. We just tell, okay, 5 kg sugar, we don't know what we are going to produce by this 5 kg sugar, or 20 kg of rice, we don't know what we are going to do with 20 kg of rice, or 1 kg of some powder, or what 5 kg of wheat flour. We don't know what we are going to do, but simply we write down, right? This is a rough estimate. We just make a rough estimate of what is required for your family for the particular month. So that is called as rough cut capacity planning, without any input data, without knowing what actually you are going to do. Depending upon the master production schedule, you just okay, roughly estimate what is required. But this happens with the master production schedule. With the master production schedule data, we roughly prepare the rough cut capacity planning. So that is going to be in medium range. Say for example, that is going to be in a period of 0 to some say 3 to 6 months, or 3 to 6 to 1 year, like something like that. Then after, with this help of master production schedule, you are going to develop the material requirement plan, what we call as MRP. Based upon the MRP, we are going to calculate the actual capacity requirement planning. What is actual? Then what is MRP and what is capacity requirement planning? Based upon the master production schedule, we are going to prepare the material requirement plan. Now this material requirement plan is based upon what? Three inputs. One is the item master file, the inventory data file, and the product structure. So with this, we know what actually is required to manufacture the particular product. Then we'll get the MRP. Then we will be releasing the plan, when you know when to release the order and when to receive the order, the scheduled receipt and the planned order release, you will know by this time. So with this, now you will also be and also you'll be knowing what is the actual capacity required. Okay, so this rough cut capacity planning is something like I told you, know, the mess is capable of producing the lunch for only 400 students, because they went only with the master production schedule. In real time, what happened? The capacity of the students were different. Okay, normally what happens, if they prepare food for 400 students, 500 students can have, but suddenly what happens, the intake capacity of the students are growing up, so they take more food. So when they take more food, the shortage will happen, because rough cut capacity planning was planned depending upon the MPS, that is master production schedule. But in real time, the capacity of the students, or capacity in case of industry, the capacity of the machines are different. So now what happens, depending upon the now, so what should be there? So depending upon the capacity, the material requirement has to be planned, and depending upon this material requirement planning should be prepared with respect to the master production schedule. So it's a reverse link. So this is going to get reverse. So for what we did, we know what is to be prepared, when it's to be prepared. For that, you brought the you prepared the MRP, and you asked your supplier to supply the required materials at the required time, at the required place. But what happens now? It will not work, because the capacity is different. The capacity of each and every individual machines are different. So if you are not understanding the capacity of each and every individual machines, it may have a reverse effect. It may affect the MPS. It may affect the master production schedule. So when it affects the master production schedule, what happens? You will not be able to fulfill the customer's requirement on time. The customer orders cannot be satisfied. The customer would have ordered for 200 Toyota Innova cars, but if your capacity is different, that's a plant capacity is different, and if your manufacturing plant is not able to manufacture 200 numbers of Innova car, automatically what happens, it affects your master production schedule, because you are going with some schedule, your timetable is some different, but what happens in real, that is different. Okay, let's put back it again in the words which you can understand. Okay, capacity requirement plan is how the classes are handled now. we had a timetable, there is master production schedule, what class has to be taught at when. There was a the resource requirement planning was the academic schedule prepared by the academic dean. The academic dean has prepared a resource requirement planning for the three month semester. For one semester he has prepared, but and he has also released the timetable for each and every individual class. That is just a rough cut capacity planning. But now suddenly what happens, and based upon this rough cut, based upon the classes, the faculties were ready with the material requirement. That is, they were prepared with their slides, the content what to be delivered on each and every day, that was clear with the faculties. That is material requirement planning. But in time, yeah, but what happened actually, due to this COVID situation, the classes are extended. It's going till November 6th. So, and the content has to be delivered till November 6th. So there's a change in the schedule, or the exams were expected to be conducted in a different way. So there was a change in the plan. So the real-time situation is the capacity requirement planning, because after conducting the online classes, what we felt is the deliverability of the lectures are taking some time. A problem which I can solve in 1 hour, now it takes 2 hours for me to explain to the situation. So there is a need for more number of classes. So the capacity of the faculty and the receiving capacity of the students are now different in this online mode. So now what happens, there's a change in the academic schedule. That is what the master production schedule, or it is again it's reflecting in the resource requirement planning. So the change, whatever is happening, the adjustments what we are making is called as capacity management. Okay, we call it as the strategies. This can be solved by the strategies what we are going to adopt in solving the any situation or any pitfall. So we are going to control this. So this is going to happen in short range, medium range, and long range. There is something called as capacity control or capacity activity control. The activity what we do overall is called as capacity control, and that happens short range because we are going to plan our activities depending upon the capacity requirement planning in the short range. We have to solve the issue then and there. So this is going to happen in short range, because if any issue is there, we are going to address then and there directly. That there's a direct implementation, that direct control of the situation. So that's what we call this is a short range thing. The other things we can plan in a long time. Say for example, long range, you can plan to establish a new unit. You can hire people. You can go for installing a power plant. All these things. For rough cut capacity planning, you can plan for buying a new machine, or installing a new software in your company, or all these things. For capacity requirement planning, you can take the example of hiring an employee, firing an employee, or managing the resource with planning your main material machines for a short duration, within a short duration. If it could be implemented, then we call it as capacity requirement planning. Okay, so we had a very detailed explanation of all these things. That's coming back to this. Now we are going to see one by one. What is RPP, what is RCCP, and what is CRP? Okay, so we are going to see one by one. So what is this resource requirement planning? This resource requirement planning is for long range, as I told you. So normally it addresses manpower, plant installation of new plant, how you are going to plan the capital for the equipment, what is the product design, what is the future you require for after a long time, or what are the things you should remove it, like if some critical resource, planning of critical resources, development of a production plan by collection of data, what is the product structure they are going to make, what is the bill of materials required. That is all these things. If you see, it's like a prior to starting the production. So this will really helpful the shortfalls what you are going to face. The next is rough cut capacity planning. It is like it is to do this rough cut capacity planning, we have master production schedule with us. This master production schedule will help us to identify right labor, machinery, what is the warehouse size required, what is the space required, who will be the promising suppliers, and how much money is involved in money is required. So all these things can be prepared by rough cut capacity planning. That is, you have see, that's very simple. Resource requirement planning, I told you, you're going to construct a house. Okay, you will tell I need 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 1 hall, something like 1 kitchen, 2 kitchen, something like that. That is just blank idea. That is resource requirement planning. Okay, after developing the blueprint of your house, now you are going to construct the house. So that time only you will know what is actually required. Okay, and this will be depending upon, okay, you are planning, okay, by December I will complete the foundation, and by January I'll complete the lintel, and by February I'll make the roof, and February I will March I will be doing the plastering activity, then wiring in the month of April. Okay, next by next before next August I'll be having my housewarming ceremony. That is MPS, master production schedule. So with that, you can go with the data. But to do this rough cut capacity planning, you should be having a detailed master production schedule. Only with the detailed master production schedule, you will be able to go with the material required, or what is the capacity, what is required to construct the house. And this may happen in a, this is possible if you have the money. It's mid-range. We can predict this work in the mid-range capacity. Then what is this use of this RCCP, or the rough cut capacity planning? It's a simple and quick tool. You don't require much detailing. Just you require the MPS, and because it goes only with the MPS, master production schedule. It's it's a better simulation tool. Okay, simple and quick tool. What is the drawback? It cannot be used for short-term planning, and it goes with the rough data what is available. It doesn't need very minute macro detailing of data is not required. That's why we go with rough cut capacity planning. Then what is a CRP? That is capacity requirement planning, what we are discussing now. Capacity requirement planning depends upon MRP1. Okay, MRP1. It focuses on sub-assemblies, parts, sub-assemblies, components, tool required, labor required. It's like examining in detail everything. Okay, every minute details is required. Something else I can tell you. This rough cut capacity planning is what? The class average. Okay, you ask now, what is the class average of cat 1, cat 2, sir? You asked me, right? So that is rough cut capacity. Just prediction, this overall some values. What is this capacity requirement planning? It's about every individual. For first question in the cat 2, how, what is the average mark? What is the mark scored by my students? For the second question, what is the mark scored by my students? For the third question, what is the mark scored by my particular student, or the whole, or by the whole class? That is, you are going to split up each and every task, and you are going to, or you are going to, in your company, what you are going to do, you are going to examine each and every individual work cell, or work center, or the machine, every individual machine, every individual labor. You are going to find them, and you are going to plan the capacity. You are going to study the capacity of them. What is the capacity required to complete the job? What is the capacity available for them to complete the job? So these things are very, very essential in doing this CRP. That is why CRP will take more time, but the data, or the output of CRP is going to be very, very accurate. Now let's see what is the input and what is output required to do this capacity requirement planning. When I say input, the inputs required are the planned order released and the scheduled receipt from the MRP. When I need the products in my in my manufacturing unit, so to have the products in this many number of products in my warehouse to start the production, when I should release the order. So those data we will get it from the MRP. Then what is the individual capacity? What is the load capacity of each and every individual machines, or the work centers, or the employees, or the laborers in my unit? That I should know. Then after understanding this, the one more important concept what I like to introduce is called as the routing data. What is this routing data? The path traveled by the raw material from raw material. The raw material will undergo, or will go under different machines, will be put under different machines to get the final product. So the path traveled by the raw material till it gets the finished product, we can call it as the routing data. For example, in your in a given day, you start from your hostel, you go to the mess, you come to the classes in SJT, then from SJT you are going to TT, from TT you are going to Hexagon, from Hexagon you are going to main building to GDN, and your morning hours ends, and afternoon again you are going to mess, your dining, coming back to GDN, coming back to main building, coming back to TT, and you're going to your hostel. So this is the routing data. This is the route traveled by you on a particular day. But what happens in this process? You have your knowledge is being added. Each and every class you attend, your knowledge is getting enriched. So in a similar way, in a industry, as the raw material takes the its path from raw material stage to the finished stage, the value addition is happening on the product. So when the product completes the particular route, the product becomes a finished product, or more value is added to the product. So that is called as the routing data. So to do this all, so this will all be depending upon the order whatever is received from the customers. But if something happens, what is the alternate plan, or what is the alternate route, or what is the alternate way of doing these things? Say for example, suddenly there's they block the entrance of the main building, so you will have the other route, right? So something like that. So the what is the plan A, what is the plan B? So all these things are considered as the inputs of capacity requirement planning. Once I have all this input requirements, what are the output I'm going to get? Your output is going to be the load reports on planned and released order on key work centers. Like for every individual machines or the work center, how much load you are going to give, what is the load report, that data we will get. Then we will verify our data with the verification report on the MRP, that is based upon the material requirement planning. What is the actual situation that can be that we can get? So then the capacity modification, if any adjustment has to be done or anything has to be changed, that we can get. Then if anything happens to the capacity, if the capacity, if any damage is there in the capacity, or if any shortages is there in the capacity, or any lagging in the load, which is load or the load given to the machine or the work center, some rescheduling will be there. That is, it will have a reverse effect. This reverse effect will be affecting the MPS. So those data we will be able to get it from the capacity requirement planning. So there are some inputs, and with these inputs we will be getting the outputs. So the input is basically the MRP data, the load capacity, the routing, and the alternative plans. In the output we'll have the load report, reports with respect to the MRP system, what is the, if any capacity modification is required, and what is the rescheduling is required from the MPS. So this is that. Okay, then we have to look about two things. One is called scheduled strategies. What is strategies being adopted? There are two strategies we adopt. One is called as forward scheduling and backward scheduling. This forward scheduling is exactly like the MRP problem you solved. We calculated what is the gross requirement, we calculated what is the net requirement depending upon the on hand inventory and the scheduled receipt. Then you calculate the net requirement. Then after calculating the net requirement, you have the scheduled receipt, then planned scheduled receipt, then you have the planned order release and the actual order release. So this is how you went through the MRP. That is called as forward scheduling. But in reverse scheduling, either this on reverse scheduling or backward scheduling, this CRP, that is capacity requirement for planning, adopts only this backward scheduling. That is, I told you. Now let's get back to the mess example. Now I calculate what is the individual capacity, how much food each and every student consume in the hostel. If I'm making a collecting the data like each and every individual students, how much is his maximum capacity, how much maximum he can consume in a particular day or in a particular time, how much is able to consume. If I'm able to make a chart, morning, evening, afternoon, dinner, how much a student is able to consume, with this data I will prepare my I will release the order, I will release my planned release order. And planned receipt order, when I am, then will be depending upon the scheduled receipt. The scheduled receipt will be depending upon the net requirement. Net requirement will be depending upon the gross requirement. This gross requirement will be depending upon the master production schedule. So as I told you, this CRP is like a reverse backward working of the MRP chart. Backward scheduling, that is you solved MRP from starting to the bottom. Now depending upon the capacity, if you're reworking on the MRP, that becomes depending upon the capacity, actual capacity required to solve the problem, that is called as capacity requirement planning. Okay, so it's like a reverse way. Okay, let me give you a simple things to understand the whole concept of what we are discussing. There's a house, there's a family of three, father, mother, and a child. It's a small simple family. the say for example what MRP does, it's like preparing the grocery list. Your father and mother and the child, they sit and write what is the requirement for the particular month, so they buy the product. They buy the product grocery items and they store it in their house or their kitchen. Now that is called as MRP, material requirement planning is done. It's simple like this. What is CRP? Now that father is planning is facing a job loss due to this COVID situation, so he has only less money left in his pocket. So at this time what he will do, okay, he's telling, okay, the child requires this much amount of nutrition, this much amount of food, this much amount of carbohydrate, this much amount of protein, and depending upon this he's preparing a schedule, what has to be prepared, when has to be prepared, how much. So he will buy the materials depending upon the capacity of the child, how much he can consume, how much the wife can consume, how much I am going to consume. So depending upon this, if he is preparing a chart, and depending upon this chart, he will go for ordering the items. Then that is called as capacity requirement planning. Okay, it is very simple as like this. So you understand this. MRP follows forward scheduling, CRP follows backward scheduling. Then when I say finite loading and infinite loading, when you are going with the infinite loading, okay, again I tell you, infinite loading means loading beyond the required capacity. The initial capacity, you know, what is the actual capacity of the machine, you know, in your work center. But if you're loading with more capacity, what happens? That is called infinite loading. If you're doing some infinite loading, the machine will perform in its way, consuming its own capacity, and it can fulfill its own, it will actually perform to its own level. Whatever you're feeding extra goes waste. Okay, but what happens when it's going waste, we can predict the actual capacity of the machine. Like if you are giving a buffet and you're asking the student to consume, instead of making it as a limited meals, you're making it as a buffet and you're asking the someone to have food. So what happens? He consumes more. So that is he will consume to his fullest capacity. By doing this, what happens? Say something is required, you are giving more than what is required, but this machine or this student is going to consume only what is required, what is actually requiring. So that is called as infinite. This is called way of infinite loading with sufficient resources, so that the machine can consume with whatever it requires. But this will end up in big inventory loss, or it will cause a huge loss to the company in terms of capital investment, or money. In terms of money, is going to bring a huge loss to the company, but the company will survive for a long time. Still it goes bankrupted. Okay, say for example you require only some item, but you are given with more money. What happens? You don't know how to spend it, the money goes waste. So that is infinite loading. And there's something called finite loading. Finite loading is simple. Whatever is required, what is the actual requirement, you're going to give only what is actually required for the machine to do the job. What is the actual capacity, what is available capacity, what is missing, I'm going to give only that. What is available capacity, I know. What is the actual capacity required, I know. I'm giving only that. So that's enough. So it's like balancing the available capacity and the required capacity. If I'm going like this, that is called as finite loading. But finite loading is applicable for the MRP system. CRP adopts what? CRP adopts only infinite loading. CRP adopts infinite loading. Okay, so CRP means what? Capacity requirement planning. Capacity requirement planning adopts infinite loading and it follows reverse scheduling. Okay, MRP follows finite loading and forward scheduling. You should understand this difference. Benefits of CRP, as I told you, it's a time. It's since you give all the data, it's going to consume more time, and over a period of time it gives the visibility of load, and we are able to balance the capacity after a period of time. It takes more time to compute. You should know the details of lot sizes, the routing. You know to know the lead time. What is the MRP data? You require the MRP data, so it requires lot of data, so which is very difficult. But in case of the drawbacks of MRP, okay, and it can be applicable only to the job production. Okay, it requires a lot of computing. It requires, since it performs backward scheduling, we are not able to calculate the slack times. Okay, what is that? What if the supply is supplying late? What will happen? So all this backlog data are not available in case of backward scheduling, and it requires a lot of input data. But what is the advantages taking into account? Okay, the visibility of load is clear. The lot size and routings are clearly specified. It happens on a cumulative basis, and it provides more data, detailed data than the MRP, because MRP is just a rough estimate. Okay, but whereas this CRP is going to be based upon MRP, but it examines detailed machine by machine, work center by work center. So these are the advantages of CRP. Okay, so now let's go back to your problem. If you have any doubt, I can take up some doubts now. If you need any explanation, we can take up some example. If you have any questions, I can answer it now. If you have any difficulty in understanding capacity requirement planning, we can discuss now. Otherwise, we will look some 3 problems and we can wind up this class. Are you able to understand this CRP?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's go back to this problem. There's a problem here. They are telling that your work center has the following data. Some data is given to you. That is released order and planned order data are available with you. The order quantity is given to you. The setup time is given to you. The run time, that is time required to manufacture one workpiece, is given to you. What they're asking? They're asking you to calculate the total standard time. Okay, just with direct substitution, we can do this problem. We have 4 products A, B, C, D. Quantity required is given, setup time is given, run time is also given to you. What I'm doing, we know the formula. Total time is equal to setup time plus order quantity into run time per piece. Here the setup time is given, the order quantity is also given, the run time is also given. So using this formula which we discussed in the previous class, the total time is equal to setup time plus order quantity into run time per piece. Just I'm substituting the data for the 4 products A, B, C, D, and I have calculated the standard hours required. Okay, so they're asking us to calculate the total standard time. So what I'm doing, I'm summing up all the standard hours for all the 4 products, summing up all these things. I end up with 385 hours as the standard hours. This problem is just the direct substitution. If you have noted down this formula in the last class, this problem is very simple problems. Then the next problem, how many standard hours are needed to run an order of 300 pieces? There are 300 pieces. The total quantity is 300 pieces. The setup time is 1.5 hours and the run time is 0.4 hours per piece. For one piece, the setup time is 1.5 hours. The run time is 4.5 hours. They are asking us to calculate how many actual hours. Actual hours they are asking us to calculate if the efficiency is 130 percentage and the utilization is 70 percentage. The utilization percentage and the efficiency percentages are given to us, and they're also asking us to calculate the rated capacity. They're assuming 40 machine hours per week. If the machine is working for only for 40 hours, what is the rated capacity? We know the formula for rated capacity. Okay, we know the formula for rated capacity. We know the formula to calculate the actual hours also. What is standard hours? That is, standard hours is setup time plus running time for 300 pieces. The setup time is given as 1.5 hours. The number of pieces is 300, and it takes 0.4 hours to machine one piece, one work piece. So 0.15 plus 300 into point, that is for 300 products. What is the total hours? So 1.5 hours is setup time. The run time is 300 into 0.4, which sums to 121.5 hours. 121.5 hours. Then we know the efficiency formula is the standard rate of production divided by actual rate of production into 100. You can refer to the slides, previous slides, you will have this formula. Now what I'm doing, I know the actual standard hours, the standard hours divided by actual production rate. The efficiency is given us, in this case, the efficiency is given us 130 percentage. So it's going to be 1.3. Sorry, it's going to be 1.3. So the efficiency percentage is given, rate of production is given. They're asking us to calculate the actual production rate. Okay, efficiency is given as 130 percentage. Standard rate of production, standard hours of production is calculated as 121.5. So 121.5 divided by 1.3 is giving us 93.3 hours. Similarly, the utilization is also, utilization is what? Utilization percentage is given as 70 percentage, that is 0.7. And we know the actual rate of production is 93.30 hours, which we calculated. So 93 into point utilization percentage is giving me 65.31 hours. So the rated capacity formula we know, available hours into efficiency into utilization. Available hours is 40, that is given to us in the problem. So 40 into 0.7 into 1.3, it is giving me as 36.4 standard hours. So the rated capacity we have calculated the actual hours required also. So the next problem is about MRP system. So here for the first 5 weeks they are given the actual capacity what is required. That is, for the first week it's 560, 550, 635, 765 and 695. And they are asking us to adjust the capacity if the forecasted cumulative deviation exceeds 1/3 of the forecasted average demand. Okay, they're asking us to calculate what happens when the cumulative deviation exceeds 1/3 of the average of the forecasted average demand per week. Okay, how to solve this problem? First, we have to calculate the average forecast. The average forecast for all the forecasted week, for all the 10 weeks. So the 10-week forecasted values divided by average. So to take the average for the 10 weeks, so I'm adding up all these things and dividing it by 10, I'm getting a 600. What is actually planned? The planned is 560. The actual capacity is 560. The planned is the average planned is 600. So 600 for all the weeks. The actual is 560, 550, 635, 675 for all these weeks. So the deviation is minus 50, minus 50, minus 40, minus 50, 35, 165 and 95. The cumulative deviation is found to be 205. But what is actual permittable limit is 1/3 of the average forecast. The 1/3 of average forecast is 200. So it's that there's a deviation of 5 by the actual cumulative deviation is 5, which is higher than 200. So we tell that some kind of adjustment is actually required here. Okay, so with this, I think we will close this class. So this is enough, I guess. So this is how we are going to do this CRP problems. Okay, so this is simple as like this. Just calculate the average demand, and that's telling the maximum permissible limit is given as 1/3 of the average forecast, which is 200. The actual cumulative deviation was 205. So we are telling it some kind of adjustment is going to require, and they didn't mention to suggest us some solution to this, how to make this adjustment. Since only 5 units are required extra, they may be increasing or decreasing the production by the week 3 or in the week 4 or in the week 5. They can do some modifications to adjust this. Okay, so I believe we are done with this. If you have any doubt, we can go with the doubts.